Good afternoon. If you would like to speak to the commission and you are not the applicant, you'd fill out one of these sign-up sheets. We'd appreciate it. Just give it to someone up front here. Also, would remind everyone if they have a cell phone to put it on silent. With that, I'll call the meeting to order. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? Any changes or corrections?
Move approval of minutes.
Motion is second to approve the minutes. Record your votes. Lee, are you voting? Okay. Continuances, Aubrey?
There are 4 uncontested requests for continuance. Item B17, which is PUD 1583 to defer to June 11th. Item B18, C6539 defer to July 9th. Item B19, PUD 1581 to defer to August 13th. And item B20, C6715 defer to August 13th.
Is there anyone here to speak to us on the items just read to be continued? If not, is there a motion of approval? Second. Record your vote. They are continued.
We also have 2 new requests for continuance. Item B10 for SPUD 822 to defer to June 11th, and item B14 for PUD 1584 to defer to June 11th.
Is there anyone here to speak to us on those items?
Move the new requests.
And they are continued. Public hearing items. We'll start with the consent docket.
There are 5 items on the consent docket. The first item is PUD SP 1515D for a specific plan for PUD 1515 located at 13600 Pawnee Drive. Item 2 is ABC 833 for an ABC2 overlay of the C3 district located at 209 Outlet Shops Drive. Item 3 is CE 906 to close 10 feet of a 30-foot platted easement located south of Northwest 160th and east of North MacArthur Boulevard. Item 4 is C6723, the preliminary plat of Rockwell Heights Industrial Park located west of Rockwell and north of Southwest 74th. And item 5 is C6720, the revised final plat of Colony Point, Phase 5, located east of Piedmont Road and north of Northwest Expressway.
Would anyone like to speak on any of these items? Chairman, items 1 to 5.
I have a question on number 5.
Okay, we'll pull number 5 and hear it in order. Any other comments on items now 1 to 4?
Move to approve the consent docket, less item number 5.
Second the motion.
And consent docket 1 to 4 is approved.
Okay, so item 5, C6720, the final plat of Colony Point, Phase 5.
Is the applicant present?
George Marquez with Craft and Toll, 214 East Main.
My only question is in connection with what the PUD that you originally had on this property. It required a subdivision buffer and a sidewalk along Memorial Road, and then the staff report says, however, since Memorial Road has not been constructed for the mile, is it a dirt road between Piedmont Road and Mustang Road? Anyway, but I'll finish. And there are no plans to improve the section line road. The PUD has been amended, eliminating a subdivision buffer and a sidewalk. And I just wondered why we would eliminate that. And And if it is eliminated, and if the Memorial Road between Piedmont Road and Mustang Road is ever going to be developed or expanded, because I was looking at the map, and there's a lot of houses being built up along that Memorial Road, according to the map, is that why would you agree to, not want to do the subdivision buffers and sidewalks along Memorial Road? I don't understand it, but I may not have enough information to really understand the logistics of that. Can you help, JJ?
Yeah, Memorial Road, just further east, does not go through, and it's not improved at this point, and probably wouldn't go through any time in the near future.
Well, is it a dirt road?
Yes, and if it ever did, then if we ever did improve it, then the city would put the sidewalks in.
So it's really a way unimproved road, that a
Correct.
sidewalk would be just silly. Is that
Right. That is correct.
Okay, then that's, so I move approval on number 5.
Is there a second? Second. It is approved. Before we go forward, someone signed up to speak on items 19 and 20, which have been continued. Mr. Bodek, are you still here? Okay.
Okay, the next item is item number 6, C-6679, preliminary plat of Check Hall Commons, located west of Check Hall Road and south of Interstate 40.
Is the applicant present?
George Marquez with Crafton Toll.
And I understand that the TE2B requiring traffic signal now has been deferred by ODOT, and we need to delete that TE.
That is correct.
Is that correct?
What'd you say?
JJ?
TE2B is for a traffic signal at the off-ramp off the interstate at Check Hall. That's under control of ODOT, and they've decided it's really not warranted at this time, and when it does come time, they'll decide if and when they put it in and how they coordinate that.
But 2A still applies.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
2A still
okay.
applies.
Yeah, we're in agreement with all TEs, with the exception of 2B, which we're requesting to be omitted from the TE.
Is there anyone here to address us on item number 6? I don't have anyone signed up.
I'll move for approval. So we're going to eliminate 2B, right?
Yeah,
Eliminating 2B, the technical TE2B.
It is approved as amended.
Thank you.
Item number 7 is PC 10418 to rezone 905 North Tulsa Avenue from RMH2 District to the I2 District.
Good afternoon. David Box, 522 Colcord Drive, here on behalf of the applicant. The application before you today is approximately a 5-acre site that we are seeking to rezone from the RMH2 to I2. When you look at the map, you'll notice that this site is entirely surrounded by straight I2, except on the north you have a large piece of this is zoned straight C4. This is consistent with several other recent zoning applications and consistent with the area around it. We'd ask for your approval.
David, this is straight zoning, which requires industrial to be screened from residential. It's C4 to the north, which is not residential, but it's a residential use. What's your client propose for screening there?
Well, at this point, what we're trying to do is just piece it together with the rest of the property around it. At the time that we develop it, we'll certainly have to meet any codes that would require that, and we'll see that that happens.
I can speak for the landscape ordinance. Is the screening is required for the use in the different zoning districts. So a residential use in a C4 zoning district would require the I2 use to provide a landscape buffer.
Thank you.
Yeah, whatever the code requires, we will certainly.
Okay, I'll move for approval.
Thank you.
It is approved.
Item 8 is PC 10419 to rezone 100 Northwest 114th from R1 to I2.
Charles Allen Engineering. This one little R1 piece is stuck in the middle, kind of an island in the middle of I-2. We're just trying to kind of make it consistent with the surrounding area.
Question of staff, does the I-2 zoning permit non-accessory signage? If we grant straight zoning on this property, would they be permitted?
Yes. But I believe there's another billboard near this vicinity, so they would still have to meet all of the separation requirements that are imposed by the ordinance.
Bill, do you have any questions? Do you know why City Council denied your SPUD?
No.
So what reasons?
I wasn't able to attend the meeting.
You what?
I wasn't able to attend the meeting.
They just said no. And my question here is that while we approved it, we had your client, lots of requirements of your client in the SPUD with signage, with da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And my concern with this application, straight rezoning from R1 to I2, leaving you carte blanche to do what you want to do under I2 zoning requirements. And that doesn't fit along an appearance corridor with me. I think you've got to come in with another one.
Clarify something for me. This little strip of R1, your client owns all the property north and south of that fronts on the Broadway extension.
Correct.
And it is zoned I2.
And to the west. Pardon me?
And that it is presently zoned straight I2.
Correct. And to the west.
So I guess my question is, it's surrounded by I2. This is one little sliver of R1. It doesn't belong, R1 doesn't belong there. So, you know, and I appreciate he can do all those obnoxious I2 uses on R1, or can't do it on R1, but he can do it on either side of it that he already owns.
This is the same issue that we missed the opportunity with the Sam's Club being built at 38th or 39th and May Avenue, as the applicant came in for a rezoning of a small little section back in the back because the client didn't want to eliminate the I-2 to make them come in with a SPUD or PUD that would talk about landscaping, architecture, signage, etc. And if we do this, that little, Nick, I agree, it's just right there in the middle, but if we do this, then your client, without regard to City Council, without regard to Planning Commission, on an appearance corridor, can come in and do whatever you want on that whole strip of property that's now zoned I-2. That's building materials, building heights, signage, 50-foot pole signs, EMD, you name it. And that's what I think. I'm not in favor of that, obviously. You know, and I don't know why your SPUD was denied. I think we worked on that pretty hard to make your client's project work in accordance with what our guidelines are. But I'd like to see you maybe try again.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have any problem with the idea that R1 zoning is not appropriate for this piece of property, but it is an appearance corridor. And to grant just straight zoning on it that would permit, you know, this, in particular, non-accessory signage, but any kind of signage along there, I think that's problematic.
But you still have the appearance corridor issues to address, even though it's zoned I-2. Again, my thought is this is a postage stamp piece of property sandwiched between two other pieces of property with common ownership.
Well, but
And you're holding him hostage from developing on I-2, which is what we've zoned the whole corridor for.
Well, first of all, I'm not going to buy into holding him hostage, but I think that the question is, without knowing the proximity to other non-accessory signage and so forth, we don't have a way of knowing whether, this little piece of property has some particular benefit over the property to the north or south of it. Maybe he can't put another sign anywhere but here, and I just have a problem with that.
Isn't that where the, I think there's been a car lot, there's a two-story building to the south of that that's been a car lot, and it's set vacant for I don't know how long.
The Mako body shops to the south.
Yeah.
But no, this has been vacant property, landfill, drainage going through it. There is one billboard to the south of this, 100 feet south of the R1. We're just trying to clean up the property and make it all I-2 consistent with, to probably make it a little bit more marketable.
For me, it seems like we really worked hard to try to get the project to go. It was denied by City Council. I was asked, why. I wasn't certain. I was hoping that you could clear that up for us. But all of that is I-2 in that particular area. All of it is I-2. Sure. And I don't really see any reason to hold up this application on today. It just seems like to me that with it all being I-2, that it just makes sense with this. It'll never be developed as R1, and so we already know that it's inappropriate. I have the same concerns, I think, that Bill has expressed and others, and that is, okay, now what can we expect to happen on that property if, in fact, it is now I-2? But it only makes sense for it to be I-2. Is there anything that we can do, and I'm asking the commission this, to limit what that looks like on an appearance corridor?
Well, the appearance corridor standards apply all the way up and down Broadway extension. But as far as specifically limiting this property, short of a SPUD or a PUD, no, we can't limit it in straight zoning.
Okay. Charles, was this not the application that, or the area where your client wanted to do the gym with the seating?
Yeah, the event center. And, when we went through the SPUD process, it wasn't, this didn't match the surrounding zoning. Now we're back with the R1. There's a little postage stamp in the middle of this, and we're just trying to match the surrounding zoning.
Are there any questions? I make a motion to move for adoption.
A motion for approval and a second. Record your votes. It is not approved. Oh, now it's approved. Okay. Okay, it is approved. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Item 10 are we on item 9? Item 9, I'm sorry. Item 9, SPUD 815 to rezone 17701 Northwestern from R3 to SPUD 815.
Is the applicant present?
Nick Craig with Stone Creek Real Estate Partners.
Can you tell us about your application?
Yes, sir. We're looking to develop, we're an owner-operator developer of senior living and long-term care, primarily focused on assisted living and memory care. And we're looking to develop an 82-unit assisted living and memory care community on this property.
On your application, the site-proof screening talks about a 6-foot, no greater than 8-foot high fence or wall for the screening of the residential area. What are you proposing there? Can you be a little more specific? I read that as a minimum 6-foot stockade fence, and that's probably not adequate.
We're looking to do a masonry wall, as we've done on our other communities, because we tend to be a transitional use between higher intensity retail, office, those type of things, and residential. We often do abut residential, and so what we'll do is an 8-foot masonry fence is our typical plan there, because for us as well, it makes sense to have it match our quality of our construction, which I believe you have some renderings there showing an example of what we do with a lot of masonry. It is a higher end product that we do. So
you said you're okay with the other technical evaluations. We could add a 4th technical evaluation requiring an 8-foot masonry screening.
Yes, sir.
And then one other question. I noticed in your rendering you have a lot of building surface that is appears to be siding. Are we talking about hardy board there, or what are we talking about?
The only place we have hardy board is in the interior courtyard, which is not viewable from the exterior. The exterior of the building is all stone and brick.
Okay, but when I look at the interior, I see all that siding. That's hardy board?
Right, just in that courtyard, and that is a completely contained courtyard. If you're looking at the site plan, there's a square shape of the building, and within that there's a contained courtyard that would not be viewable from the exterior.
But it is hardy board as opposed to some wood shiplap type siding?
Absolutely, it's hardy board.
Thank you.
Question to staff, or maybe the applicant. When we continued this indefinitely in April, what was the reason for that? Do you remember?
We had another property that we were looking at, and rather than take any chance of spending your time looking at it, we wanted to make sure that this was definitively where we were going forward.
So you were the one who requested the continuance?
Correct.
Additional discussion or questions? Is there a motion?
I'll move approval.
Adding TE4, the 8-foot masonry fence.
Adding TE4, 8-foot masonry fence.
Motion and a
Second the
second
motion.
to approve with the addition of TE4. It is approved. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Item 10 was continued to June 11th. Item 11 is SPUD 823 to rezone 13801 South Santa Fe Avenue from SPUD 501 to SPUD 823.
Is the applicant present?
Just removing the age restriction from...
State your name and address for us, please.
Name is Brent Irish. Address is 1605 Mark Circle, Moore, Oklahoma. And we're just...
And can you tell us a little bit about your application, what you're trying to do here?
All right. This is, there's 14 units. There's 7 duplexes, but there's lots for 19 duplexes. But since the tornado of 2013, this is currently it was about 80% vacant, and some of the 55 and up were a little bit slower to move back into that area. So we're just we'd like to remove the age restriction of 55 and up only to open that up to as we see fit.
Okay, thank you. There is one person signed up, Ms. Maggard. Yes. Would you like to tell us what your concerns are? Please come forward, podium. If you'd give us your name and address, we'd appreciate it.
My name is Paula Maggard. I live at 15 Southwest 138th. My house backs onto this. I was the one who came down to speak under the original zoning for this in 2009, when all of us in the Housing Addition were extremely concerned at putting rental properties behind our homes. Our homes are in the $250,000 and up range, and most people do not want rental properties there. At the time, the commission deferred and said that the developer had to meet with us and come to an agreement before they could come back and get the SPUD approved. They did do that. The original developers did. At that time, they put in new drainage. They put in a drainage chute was planned. They changed the roofing to make it look more like the houses. And the line in the sand was the 55 and older age restriction, because then we were not as concerned about open rental, 18, 19-year-olds throwing parties, whatever, behind us. There are a lot of apartments in Moore for the younger folk. This was supposed to be something that we could be comfortable having behind our homes. We did not know it had been sold until we got the notification of this rezoning. Originally, it was scheduled for the 14th of May because they wanted to put in quadplexes, which he did not mention. They want to put in quadplexes. The only way to do that is put in 2-story mini apartment buildings, is what it amounts to. It's over our sight line, it's over our fences, and that original one for the 14th was only asking to rezone 3 of these lots. This change is to rezone the entire area. They could put up those 2-story quadplexes, which looks to us like mini apartments, and remove the age restriction behind that is totally surrounded by residential housing. So I was a spokesperson for the area last time. I'm here again for them. I cannot more strongly request that you deny this rezoning.
Have you or any of your neighbors or group had any contact or meetings with the new owner, the applicant?
No, it took me, the last one was supposed to be on the 14th. I did not get a copy finally of the new SPUD until after the reschedule. So no, we have not met with him yet. We would be glad to do so, but if it's removing the age or going to those quadplexes, I can tell you it won't do any good to have a meeting, because we do not want that behind our homes.
Thank you.
Would you want it behind yours?
Well, one thing we encourage, and you say it probably won't do any good. We do encourage applicants.
We will be glad to schedule that if that's a reason. For right now, at least we can talk. It's just they just built 35 West is a huge, massive rental, multiple-story rental property there between Santa Fe and I-35, between where the Walmart is, et cetera. Huge new apartment complex there. There's a lot of open 1- and 2-bedroom rental properties already. I really don't see the need to turn this into open rental.
Well, thank you for your comments. Because when you read this application just on the surface of it, well, they just want to remove the 55-year restriction. But then when you see where the layout is, all single-family residents all around.
All around it.
And also the meetings you had with
in 2009.
Yes. Is this a new owner of this property?
Yes, it's a new owner.
So he bought
it knowing what the SPUD was.
He bought knowing what it was, and now they want to change it into a multifamily, 2-story, essentially apartment complex that I have confidence that your statements today would have been back there, along with your neighbors, even stronger, because you wouldn't let it happen. But it's a whole new thing, and as the chairman said, it probably won't do any good, but if you like, I would meet with the brand-new owner and tell him which way to carry the cabbage, or so to speak.
Glad to do so. And also, I would ask your indulgence, I was going to print this. I know we were supposed to bring voluminous. This is a one-page letter, so I was just going to bring it and hand it out. It's from one of the other residents who could not get off work to come today. And the storms did something to my internet. I couldn't get to my computer and email. Would you mind if I read this off of my phone? And if you want, I can give you...
Is it something new that you haven't covered?
They actually, this is the house that's in the...
Not where they live, but...
Okay, they had it special. They had massive flooding before the culvert, and the whole area was actually graded originally too high. So as it moved down east towards Santa Fe, they started bringing the elevation down till finally behind their house it was even, and they had the agreement that it would not disrupt the sight line. And so they were bringing to the point in their letter about the flooding, and they had a couple of pictures, and then said erecting multi-story units as proposed would not uphold the original agreement, and we asked that it not be allowed at this property address. Anyway, I do apologize for not being able to get it printed before I came.
Thank you. Let's hear from Mr. Irish.
Unfortunately, I didn't know that she had...
Are you guys willing to meet with these people and try to come to some common ground?
Absolutely. I think we can resolve most of her concerns. When we're thinking of 3-plex, 4-plex, we put that in there as an option. We didn't see a lot of difference between duplexes and 4-plexes, especially if they're single-story. But there's 2 of the lots are for a common area, and the more units we're able to fit in here, the more we'll improve the common area. We're going to add a very nice multi-use above-ground storm shelter and a clubhouse, and then likely a playground. And also our intent is just to comply with the Fair Housing Act, which requires that 80% of residents, if it's advertised 55 and older, 80% of the folks in that development have to be 55 and older. We've got a maintenance guy. We would like to have on-site maintenance for these guys, and possibly some other staffing and care that is not as convenient to live off-site, but we want to open it and just improve this and develop it completely in multiple ways. And although it's surrounded by residential, that vacant AA, I know that the corner just to the north, that's all about to explode into commercial. It already has, just across the street. And I think going to multifamily, duplex, triplex, and quadplex. All we're doing with the duplex or the triplex and quadplex potentially is eliminating some of the yard in between some of these units. So it's not going to look drastically different. Would end up with about 5 to 6 more units in the entire development.
You heard her comments. Considering those comments, you feel like a meeting could be fruitful?
Yes, I do.
Well,
okay.
Then when can you accomplish that? Accomplish that by the 11th of June?
Yes, before the
would you like a continuance till June 11th on this?
Oh.
Or after that? Can't be before.
Okay. So another planning commission meeting.
Next meeting will be June 11th.
Okay.
Or we could go later than that if you think it requires more time.
No, I think the next one will be fine. So.
Might want to give him a month to set up that meeting and touch bases with everyone. So not.
Well, I think this is a fairly tight group of people right behind him, as I recall the last application. So my guess is that if
I'm not privy to that.
If he says he can move that fast, I'm confident they probably can.
Okay. 11. All right.
Yeah, that's fine. Because
I move continuance to 11th of June until the applicant can meet with the residents.
It is continued. June 11th.
Item 12 is SPUD 825 to rezone 11 East Reno, 101 North Oklahoma, 137 East Sheridan from Bricktown District, Downtown Parking Overlay, and Fringe Parking Overlay to SPUD 825.
Good afternoon. David Box, 522 Colcord Drive, here on behalf of the applicant. Also with me is Mr. Tim Johnson. The application before you is an opportunity to allow some EMD signage in Oklahoma City's premier entertainment district. When we think of entertainment districts in this city, I think we think of EMD signs. If we just took a look right out this window in front of one of the beautiful entertainment centers we have in this city, the Civic Center, you'll see 2 EMD signs. On the Chesapeake Arena, another entertainment venue, you'll see a very large EMD sign. So what we have is a SPUD that will allow very limited EMD signs, limited content. The signs would only be allowed to promote Bricktown events. So it would not be what you might think of in a full non-accessory type sign. These would be limited to just promoting the entertainment district of our city, that being Bricktown. We would ask for your approval. We're here to answer any questions.
David, who's your client?
I'm sorry?
Who's your client?
The applicant?
Who's that?
Well, it is Bricktown Canal Properties, Bricktown Parking, Inc.
Well, it says here the applicant is City of Oklahoma City.
Well, I'm not representing the City of Oklahoma City.
Well, then what does that mean?
You'd have to ask the person that produced the staff report. Don't know.
Who would that be?
Your staff.
JJ, why is the applicant the City of Oklahoma City when this is a Brewer Company project?
The applicant in the heading is Bricktown Canal Properties, Bricktown Parking. Under the contacts, for some reason we've left City of Oklahoma City from a previous report. But the applicant is Bricktown Canal Properties and Bricktown Parking.
Okay, the reason I bring that up is that prior to the time that I was off of the Bricktown Design Review Committee, this came up, and it was a unanimous vote no, because these are non-accessory EMD signs, and every single person on the Bricktown Committee said we don't want billboards on every parking lot that there is, and these are billboards. So whatever you describe, that they will, they will only be for events. These are billboards. Where the brewers will sell advertising on the billboards, and they'll be flashing EMD signs. Your example of the Chesapeake Arena, in connection with the guidelines of the Bricktown Design Review Committee, we don't, or when I was on it, and the committee guidelines also allow flashing EMD signs on the sides of the buildings, representing what it is the buildings do. So that's not restricted. This is an entertainment area. Neon signs and clever signs, etc., are just fine. Every single person on the committee at Bricktown, when I was on it, and also apparently on May 15th, the Bricktown Design Review Committee said no, they don't want billboards and EMD signs on the parking lots. So whatever your argument is, I'm just going to throw it out there, that knowing what this application is, and the curiosity is why it says the City of Oklahoma City when it's not, I move to deny this application.
Second the motion.
Additional questions or discussion? Record your votes.
Thank you.
Item 13, SP 480 for a special permit to allow a new telecommunication tower within the C3 district located at 2540 North Martin Luther King Avenue.
Is the applicant present?
Hello, my name is Reagan Hicks, and I'm representing Horvath Communications and T-Mobile Communications. T-Mobile is going to be the anchor candidate at this proposed 100-foot monopole tower. The tower and the compound meet all 11 of the 12 conditions of the ordinance. We are requesting the special permit for the setback condition that is not met in the undeveloped wooded area, which is zoned R4, which is to the east and to the north. This is the same property owner, which is Esperanza Real Estate. Just wanted to also mention that the T-Mobile coverage that we're looking for is for indoor coverage. So basically, when you're inside your home, you'd be able to use your phone at optimum level. T-Mobile caters to provide affordable services in this area, and a large amount of our customers, we want to feel confident and safe when using that service. Horvath Communications also has offered Fire Stations 12, that is south of us, a spot at around 40 to 50 feet if they so choose to locate their equipment on that bottom part of the tower. We believe this site has the greatest impact for T-Mobile's coverage, and will provide minimal negative effects on the surrounding properties, and will be the most positive effect on people living and working in that area as that area grows. And I have a person here from T-Mobile RF, and I'd love to answer any questions you guys might have.
Let's talk about your location, your specific site location, and the setback requirements.
Yes, sir.
You're asking for a 100-foot tower, so you basically need a 125-foot setback. To the east, you have R4, but you also have a big drainage area.
Yes.
In that R4.
Yes, sir.
How close to the R4 boundary are you to the east?
The tower bottom itself is set around 60 feet away from the east property line.
Okay, and then how about, it's 60 feet east, how about to the north?
25 feet to the property line from the compound fence to the compound, to the R4, sorry.
Okay. To the north, you only have 25 feet. To the
tower base would be 50, add 20 feet, 25 more feet than the fence, so it'd be 50 foot, sorry.
But to the east, you have 60, and then that drainage area obviously is not developable, so that
Yes, sir.
could afford you a little additional buffer. So before, we have a number of people signed up to speak, and we'll hear from them, but before we do, my question would be, why is it not possible to slide the tower a little bit south and meet these requirements?
If we slide the tower south, we won't be able to meet the requirement that's to the east.
Well, but
right.
To the east will still be a
But
problem.
you would meet it if you considered the undevelopable land on the east. I may be willing to vary that part, because if the tower fell, and we understand that really they don't normally fall, and probably scissor down, but our fall radius is 125%, so you need 125 feet.
Sure.
If you start with 60, and then you have that, and I don't know how wide that drainage area is, but it's fairly wide, you may get there or be close enough. It just appeared on the surface that we're sticking it in the back corner of the church to facilitate it not being in the way for the church, basically.
The furthest part of the southeast corner of that property was considered as a location, and we just chose to go to the north because of the way the utilities are running from the west and our access. We can access from the south as well, but considering that we weren't going to meet the setback to the east anyways, I think that they could definitely consider moving to the southeast corner, as long as that's fine with the landlord as well.
Well, let's hear from people who want to speak, and they'll have a chance to address their concerns. Ms. Cosby?
Hello, my name is Angela Cosby. I am the Director of Research and Planning for the Lynn Institute for Healthcare Research. I previously spent 7 years downtown as the Festival of the Arts Director, so I've seen the incredible progress that this commission has stimulated throughout the changing downtown landscape. none of which included placing a cell phone tower in bustling areas. I now represent the health component of the inspiring movement to revitalize the northeast area of Oklahoma City, a forgotten area of Oklahoma City. It's beautifully lush. It has many assets, including libraries, 16 parks, 75 licensed daycare centers, 8 public schools, over 130 churches, state and city agencies, and over 1,500 businesses. This is not an isolated area appropriate for an enormous structure such as a cell tower. Currently, we do not know the long-term effects of people living and working within close proximity of these towers. We do know that environment affects the health of a community. The physical design of our community affects our health every time we step out our front doors. A healthy community is one in which you want to raise your children. Imagine children playing around the base of this structure. A healthy community is one in which all citizens can be assured a decent quality of life, economically, physically, environmentally, socially, and politically. That is exactly what the Northeast stakeholders working alongside the inhabitants of Northeast Oklahoma City will accomplish in the coming years. Our vision for a healthy community does not include a cell tower in our neighborhoods. Please deny this request to stain our landscape. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Coffey?
Good afternoon. I'm Julie Coffey, owner of High Impact Management, a Northeast Oklahoma City business located at 310 Northeast 28th Street. As a business owner and member of the Northeast Renaissance Stakeholders Committee, I'm alarmed at the thought of a 100-foot cell tower being built in the Northeast community. My concerns center around the threats such a structure puts on the profitability of new and existing commercial businesses in the area. A cell phone tower of this magnitude represents a potential hazard to surrounding property owners. Added risks may potentially increase financial and liability burdens, thus creating undue barriers to entry for new businesses and increased costs that existing business owners cannot afford to pay. We see this as a detriment to commercial business growth and survival in our Northeast District. Our vision for the Northeast District includes ensuring economic and social amenities to promote affordable, quality housing, high-quality education, a safe environment, and healthy lifestyles, all of which will in turn generate a healthy environment for commercial businesses. To overlook the setback requirements and allow a cell phone tower to be built at 2540 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, just blocks from prime commercial real estate for existing and new business, threatens this vision. This single act may contribute to a decline in neighborhoods, a decline in our Northeast area schools, as existing residents choose to move out and potential residents seek more desirable areas to live. This would be devastating to our vision in an area in Oklahoma City which has such tremendous potential for economic growth and development. A cell phone tower would be, number one, an eyesore, obstructing or tarnishing essential views. Number two, a potential noise nuisance. Number three, a fire and fall hazard. 4, a crime attraction. All of these risk factors contribute to a decline in commercial business, resulting in a decline in revenue and a decline in sales and property taxes. I strongly urge the Planning Commission to deny the proposal request today, and I thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Ms. Grant?
name is Brittany Grant, and I am here to read.
Can you pull that microphone down just a little bit so we can hear you?
Better?
Yes.
Okay.
Now
Brittany Grant, 106 South Avenue.
Thank you.
I'm here to read a letter on behalf of Representative Dr. George Young, and he states, "Dear Commissioners, it has been brought to my attention that the application being presented before you today is to allow for a new 100-foot telecommunication tower at 2540 North Martin Luther King Avenue. I completely oppose a telecommunication tower at this location. I have heard from many concerned citizens, and they share in my opposition to such a structure. I have grave concerns about a tower of this size in a residential neighborhood. The Northeast community is deeply engaged in redevelopment. Not too far from the proposed tower site are plans to construct a much-needed housing development. There are plans for retail developments throughout the 23rd Street corridor and along Martin Luther King Avenue. This eyesore will discourage investors and commercial developers. It is also important to mention the health concerns stated by many health professionals regarding the RF signature released by telecommunication towers. It is with the above concerns and the negative consequences such a tower would bring in citizen morale, health, and potential economic losses that I urge you to disapprove this application. Sincerely, Representative George E. Young, Sr. Thank you.
And we have the letter in the file. Greg Jones.
Greg Jones, 612 North Cate Avenue in Oklahoma City. I chair the Northeast Stakeholder Renaissance Committee, and I'm going to read a letter we met on yesterday. It's been brought to the Northeast Stakeholder Renaissance Committee that an application for special permit for rezoning to allow 100-foot telecommunications tower at 2540 North Martin Luther King Avenue at the New Covenant Missionary Baptist Church. This committee is comprised of nearly 30 members and or supporters representing business owners, community leaders, clergy, health professionals, real estate developers, and young professionals. The mission of the Northeast Stakeholder Renaissance Committee is to embrace the vision of Northeast Renaissance urban renewal and ensure that the Northeast Renaissance District is fun, culturally rich, economically vibrant, and socially inclusive for all Oklahomans and future investors. Our vision is to work jointly with the Alliance for Economic Development to ensure access to economic and social amenities, which include affordable quality housing, high quality education, inclusive arts and culture, safe and accessible environment, healthy lifestyles, and profitable commercial businesses. The proposed telecommunications tower directly affects 3 of the 6 social and economic amenities of the Northeast Renaissance Committee's vision. Number 1, safe environment. Number 2, profitable commercial businesses. And number 3, healthy lifestyles. Under safe environment, in our research, cell phone towers are built to be economically sensible rather than built to be safe as possible. According to the U.S. Occupational Safety and Health Administration, there has been an increase in injuries and death to tower climbers who build and maintain these towers. A high proportion of deaths were caused by a lack of fall protection, and that over the last several months, tower workers have been injured or killed by falling objects, equipment failure, and collapsing towers. Particularly in Oklahoma, with the high risk of inclement weather, the potential of high winds, lightning, and freezing temperatures all present a real threat to life in the business and residential community. Number 2, profitable commercial business. The location of the proposed tower, located at New Covenant Missionary Baptist Church, will not be aesthetically pleasing the area with a newly formed TIF district to attract commercial economic growth and reduce the property values of nearby properties. Number 3, healthy lifestyles. The Federal Communications Commission has not updated their standards to modern science to recognize the biological effects of the population, especially in children, when it comes to these towers. We are not aware of the present or future effects of such massive structures in regards to RF radiation. Our committee met Wednesday, May the 27th at Langston University, Oklahoma City campus to discuss this issue in particular and agreed to ask the planning commissioners to deny this request for approval, or if approved, it be sent to City Council with no recommendation. We ask that this letter and the list of our committee members, representatives, and supporters be added to the Planning Commission's minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Susan?
Good afternoon. I'm Susan Binkowski, and also the owner of Esperanza Real Estate. What you see up behind you, and I actually have a few copies to pass out, if that's preferable. This is King's Crossings. This is the development that we've been working on with not only the Northeast stakeholders, but various folks from the community talking about what is needed to be catalytic to really change the economic environment and future vision of this great group of people. If you will look, let me see if I can figure out this pointer, at the screen, whoops, okay. Can you go back, what? Okay. One more, there we go. Their pointer. So the tower is deemed to go approximately right here. And what you see in pink are all new residences. There's about 75 new residences drawn right there, as well as a new healthcare facility here and new retail business, as well as a clubhouse and water aspect that would be going in conjunction with this residential development and commercial development, new grocery store, et cetera. Clearly, this has been a work of accumulation of these various pieces for the last 18 months, and with a lot of civic support. And obviously, it would be pretty devastating for this development to have that right basically in somebody's front yard and in somebody's backyard. Not to mention, I think, the statement that it would give to the Northeast community that something that would never be allowed in a neighborhood elsewhere would be allowed here. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
So on the back end of the property line to the church, those units and that, and that strip right there would be planned to be what?
Those are planned to be townhomes. In fact, I can flip to a few renderings that I've here we go. Whoops. You can see on, these are sort of the streetscape, the townhome appearance with garages. This is actually the view from the north. So the cell tower would be over here. Right. So this would be somebody's, front yard or backyard here, and then those facing south would be.
That would be his front yard for those.
Right.
Okay.
That would be the visibility.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Questions or comments?
I'll just make one comment, is that I think a simple observation is that you can't meet the setback requirements.
Well, that's why he's here. That's the purpose of the application. Would you like to respond?
Sure. Yes, that's why we're here, because we realized that we had tried to contact Esperanza actually about trying to get involved in their development, and they declined to be involved with us with the tower that has to go there. A lot of times these things have to happen, and that we have certain things we have to do in a year's time. So I know these pictures look great, and what it tells me is we're bringing a lot of more people into that area with a lot more cell phones. As far as to address the safety concerns, we'd be willing to do whatever we need to build as far as a masonry wall, 8-foot masonry wall. Most of our compounds are chain link 6-foot with the protective security wire on the top. see one of the things. Sometimes I just see a lot of the developments that happen. You get the developments in there, and you don't have the cell phone tower to support the people that move into that area. I've seen places out, I'm actually from Tulsa, places in Bixby, people haven't moved because there is no coverage in that area. Everybody wants their device to work, especially when it's concerned with safety, being at home, being able to get in touch with somebody when you need to. What else was I going to say? We originally started out needing this coverage for a 150-foot tower. And realizing that we probably have opposition, we have lowered it to 150 feet, which is, basically as low as we're going to be able to go and to complete what we need to do for our customers. So that's all I have. That's all I have. If you have any questions.
The nearest cell phone tower
Yes, sir.
to this location is where?
I provided a handout that shows on there the different locations. It should be, and I've marked on there how many.
All of them are more than a half mile, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And just for us, we looked at try to propagate on those and co-locate on those. So the propagation just doesn't help what we're trying to accomplish. I mean, we have that indoor coverage that you see on the before and after, and it shows what the coverage will happen when we have the tower. That's shown in pink.
As Commissioner Bright pointed out, you don't meet the setback.
Yes, sir.
But I'm still not satisfied that you can't, with as extensive as the property of the church is, that you can't move it closer to the church or up next to the church, for that matter, and meet your fall radius.
The set closer to the church is going to affect plans that they have to expand. Obviously, with a lot of people moving into that area and new development, it will bring more people. They're expanding their church as well. I think the southeast corner would probably be an option that we would definitely be able to entertain and look at, but we still would have the setback to the east that's there. That's what we need the special permit for.
No, we fully understand that, but it just appears that you could meet those by going up to one of the corners of the church or whatever. Obviously, we have cell towers snuggled up to buildings. We have them in the middle of parking lots.
The footprint won't accommodate multi-carriers if we go that close to the church. We want to have a 50 by 50 compound for this place. So,
well, your compound can go anywhere, but it's the tower that has to have the.
They have plans on going out back from
I understand, and I'm not trying to argue that with you. I'm just saying I believe you could massage this with a little work.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask Mr. Jones, and possibly Commissioner Cooper, are you aware of the Kings Crossing development, and have you been involved in the development of that project? And
yes, we are. Our stakeholder committee is very aware. Susan and her team have come and presented to our group about 12 months ago, actually, and really gave us an idea of the renderings, what the plans were, and we fully support what she's going to be doing with that development.
So I'll ask you rather than her, does it seem to you likely that that project will move forward?
Yes.
Do you have any sense at all of that, Commissioner Cooper?
I know that this has been moving forward, and they have been meeting with the community and have had, extensive involvement. And I know also with Northeast Renaissance and other stakeholders in the community. And so this is something that we're looking forward to, and I believe is going to happen relatively quickly. And so as we move forward, I think there are legitimate concerns about this cell phone tower. All of us want better cell phone coverage. All of us recognize how important that is in this room, every one of us. It seems to me that this is probably not the best place and site for this particular tower, and I can think of several other sites that would be within the area that would be more conducive perhaps for this cell phone tower. I think the church, just looking at their ability to expand, this is going to limit their ability. They're already landlocked, and it's going to limit their ability, and I'm not sure that they're looking down the road far enough to see really what that looks like. So I have some real concerns about this cell phone tower, and it probably is not the best place for it.
I have to say, I agree. The possibility, verging on probability of this kind of redevelopment in this area just seems to me to be so critically needed. And the idea of placing a tower sort of on its edge, sort of hovering over it, just does not seem to me like the best land use choice to be made here. I cannot support this application. I just don't think that this is the right spot. You're absolutely right. We all need better cell phone. I'm not even sure we're allowed to consider health effects of cell phone tower placement. So however much we may or may not agree with those concerns, there are some safety issues relative to especially icing that we've all become aware of in the last few years with towers and that kind of thing. So, I mean, there are some real safety issues separate and apart from RF and health impact and that kind of thing. I'm not in favor of this application, and if everybody has said everything they want to say about it, I'm going to move for denial.
Yeah, the only thing that I would just remind everybody, just so we can remember this, is that if we do deny a cell tower, it cannot have the effect of prohibiting their service, wireless service. So there's some things like that, and if there's some other locations, he would have to prove that, you know, they.
Oh, and I don't think anybody would want to do that. We're all
right. I just wanted to remind everybody.
We're all in favor of better cell phone service, but there must be some other location they could find.
Well, and in this particular case, it clearly does not meet our fall radius requirements. Having said that, regardless of how this comes out and goes forward, Oklahoma City standards as to construction of cell towers well exceed the national requirements. We have not had any problems with cell tower collapses. We've had cell towers go through 2 F5 tornadoes and not collapse. We have had one cell tower collapse in a tornado, and it did what it was supposed to do. It did not fall over. It collapsed like a folding ruler, like they're designed to do. That said, I believe Janice is correct. I believe this site could be either brought into compliance or perhaps there are other available sites in the area.
Was there a second to Janice's motion?
No, not yet.
Second the motion.
There's a motion and a second for denial. And I have one more person to speak who has just signed up.
Comply with the setbacks.
Talks about open visibility and property values. Both of those issues have been addressed by previous people, so if that's all right with you, we'll go ahead with our vote. Please record your vote. It is denied.
Item 14 was continued to June 11th. Item 15 is to introduce and set for public hearing the Citywide Comprehensive Plan, Plan OKC, for June 11th. And I might provide a little bit of background on this for the public. This comprehensive plan has been the culmination of many years' work by thousands of residents and our planning commissioners and different stakeholder groups and teams. We are very proud of the 406 pages of work that went into this plan. It will be presented, if we move it forward and set it for public hearing in June, with a detailed presentation. The plan itself will be available for the public to view. You can view a copy of it online at planokc.org/docs, DOCS/planokc. It will also be available in the city clerk's office, a hard copy of the plan, as well as public libraries. And this plan is going to be used by many different members of our community as we build our city and develop it. This is what the document looks like. How thick the document is, so there's a lot of detail in here. Helps us guide the future growth and development of Oklahoma City on the decisions that we make every day, just like that were made here today as to specific development. It gives criteria for deciding things about compatible uses and design and land use decisions. It also has a lot of detail in the back about other types of initiatives or strategies or actions that not just the City of Oklahoma City could take, but different partners, community partners, agencies might do to address all of the issues that have been identified by our community. Things that have to do with environmental quality, quality of the built environment, community appearance, preservation, culture. So the plan is more than just a land use plan. It is a guide to make Oklahoma City the best place that it can be. So if we set this for public hearing on June 11th, we'll be back with our staff and a detailed presentation.
Move that we set it for hearing on June 11th.
Second the motion.
It is set. That concludes the public hearing. Planning Commission members?
We have one more item. We have one more item, which is item 16.
I thought we continued that.
I don't think we continued at the beginning. Can we continue this now?
Okay.
Item number 16 is an ordinance to be introduced and set for public hearing on June 11th. This is amending the zoning and planning code. This is in relation to creating criteria for design review districts to make decisions about proposed demolition.
And that's continued indefinitely?
We need to vote.
Yeah. It is continued. Now, do we have any Planning Commission members?
I have a question, and I didn't want to slow down the momentum, so I didn't ask it at the time. But I was very puzzled by item number 12, the signage thing in Bricktown, about how it was an SPD for all these various locations to be included in a single application. Maybe I should just get with staff and answer that question quietly, but I just don't understand sort of...
They are the corner of parking lots owned by the brewer companies.
But they're at different locations.
But what the result would be was the approval of 4 locations for billboards.
I get that too, and my question is, how are 4 different locations one PUD
I believe they
or SPUD?
probably did it. That's a staff question, but my guess would be common ownership.
I mean, just, procedurally, how did they all get in to be one SPD?
You've done that numerous times, and we've done it several times with PUDs as well. If you think about, say, the Chesapeake campus has little PUDs all over the place, and we have a PUD just east of here in downtown that's done the same way. That's just common ownership or common applicants on one application. And you can do that with a PUD and an SPUD. A straight zoning application has to be contiguous.
Okay. So
It's just the fact that it's a PUD or an SPUD that you can do that.
Anything, Planning Department? Development Services? Public to be heard, Mr. Box?
Adjourn.
Adjourn.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're not doing anything else to them.